So we are, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you for tagging me. I am going to go ahead and make sure I share on my sites. So make sure. So, oh, I think I'm just going to make a watch party. How about that? I think that's going to be cool.
Whatever.
Yay.
Yay! Hello, my friends. Today, it's a very special day for me on this show because today is the 10th episode of My Voice, Your Voice. I can't believe it that I'm already interviewing the 10th change agent. And it's not by coincidence. I think it's by design.
Yeah.
I think it's by design that I will be talking today with Dr. Deena Brown, my roomie. That's a fun
Yes.
name we use among ourselves. So when I was programming Dr. Deena Brown, I didn't know that she was going to fall on the 10th anniversary of the 10th anniversary episode of My Voice, Your Voice. It just happened that she is the one. So Dr. Deena Brown, I am so happy and so blessed that two of us are celebrating this 10th episode. You know, one of the things we always talk about as change agent is consistency.
Yes, we do.
So it's just like a dream for me. So I want to first of all use this opportunity before I welcome my friend to thank all those who have appeared on the show. Your stories have been wonderful. Your stories have blessed so many people. The feedback that I get on my messenger, the encouragement has made me to know that what we are doing, we are actually doing something that people appreciate. On this, My Voice, Your Voice 10th episode, I am so happy and so blessed to be talking with Dr. Deena Brown. Dr. Deena Brown, she's just a lot.
I'm part of team too much? Are you already saying I'm part of team too much? I'll take it.
She is an educator. She has made her influence felt in education. She has come up with a movement which I love so much, the Lead Her Shift movement. I'm sure she will talk about it in her interview. Then now she has started another program, which is Future Her Cast. She loves changing people's mindset. She loves disrupting limiting beliefs. She loves taking people, especially women, from where they are to where they want to be. And she comes along with a very contaminating laughter, a smile that you cannot resist. Join me, welcome my friend, my roomie, Dr. Deena Brown. Dr. Deena Brown, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And I just feel so honored and blessed for you to even reach out and to have me on the show. And I look forward to our engaging conversations. I know that when we first met, we had some great, authentic conversations. And I know today we're going to also have some additional engaging, authentic conversations. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that. So, Dr. Deena Brown, before we go ahead, oh, by the way, I love your background.
Oh,
It's just all about you. I love
it,
I love how cozy you make yourself feel because you always tell me it is what you give yourself that matters. So maybe tell us about yourself, then tell us about how you came to
It
designing
is.
your
It is.
background.
I love sharing the fact that it is really what you give yourself. It's what you say to yourself. It's what you breathe to yourself. It's what you whisper to yourself. It's how you make yourself feel. It's really truly about serving yourself first so that you are nourished to the point that you can truly, authentically, consciously serve others from your overflow. And one of the things with my space, and as you can see, I put elements in my space that actually, when I'm working and when I'm speaking, when I'm engaging, that I can speak to it. And so one of my favorite quotes is by Vince Lombardi. I have lots of
Mhm.
favorite quotes, but this one is, there's only one way to succeed in anything, and that is to give it everything. Well, guess what? There's only one way to succeed for yourself, to give yourself everything,
Oh,
everything
wow.
that you need so that you can be the greatest version of yourself. So now you get to serve from your overflow and not a bastardized version of who people think you should be.
Good. I, for that, I can attest to that, my friend. I know you. You just like being yourself. So before we go ahead, Dr. Deena Brown, I would like you to tell our audience who you are and what you stand for.
I am a strategist helping women who want more. That's really who I am. If you had to boil down whether it's the degrees or the accolades, the awards, it really boils down to that. My one primary purpose in life is to inspire and empower women to transform their lives. That's who I am. It will show up differently depending on what your needs are and the way that we actually engage. But that is what I do from the time that I was in the classroom to the times that I present in the boardroom or when you actually see me on stage. That is who I am. That's who I'm called to be. And that's how I serve.
Thank you so much. And that's one of the things that I admire very much about you. So before we go ahead, we have some of our fervent followers who are already tuning in. So I
Okay.
want to acknowledge Francisca from the from Toronto in Canada. Thank you, Francisca, for always being there for us. I can see Reverend Amanda Raleigh. She's watching. I can also see Isai Daniel. Forgive me if I pronounce your name wrongly. So, Dr. Deena Brown, one of the questions I ask my guests before I begin is, how are you at this particular moment? And what are you doing to keep your mind, body, and spirit going on smoothly?
Well, one thing that you have to understand, and one thing I'm very intentional about, is that you have to master your mind or it will master you. And so I'm very intentional about how I process things. I don't try to power through anything. I process it, I digest it, and I allow those opportunities or whatever that I'm actually doing to, like I said, nourish my moment to build momentum. So
Mhm.
during this, what I call climate of COVID, and to me, it's been one of the most creative opportunities that I've had. Why? It's because it allowed me to slow down, get so focused, and become very conscious about myself. See, we're always moving and going, myself included, that's why I use we, are doing that. And sometimes in that moment we're trying to build greater momentum, but what we lack is fuel. And so we're wondering why we cannot get to where we need to go, why we're struggling in those certain spaces, is because we don't necessarily have the fuel we need. And so right now in this moment, I've used the time to refuel. I've used this time to really get crystal clear on who I am right
Mm.
now. Not who I was 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, but who am I right now in this moment? And how am I future casting and future proofing my tomorrow? And so I'm in a great place right now. Yes, there's some days where I actually, I miss traveling. I miss, I had to cancel a few vacations. There were some opportunities and stages that I don't necessarily get to be on because of the current restrictions. However, I had a choice to make. Can I take this and can I alchemize it to become something greater and use it for fuel? Or do I allow it to burn me out by worry and fretting and struggling? And so for me, I opted to master my mindset. And if I need to get out because I'm finding that I'm feeling closed in, I get in my car and I just take a drive by myself. And I get out.
Oh,
No one said you can't go out. You're just not going out to socialize. So if we reframe our thinking and reframe the moment, we can own the moment and not let the moment own us. So that's
oh,
pretty much how I'm doing right now.
that's a very big nugget. Reframing our thinking, like changing the narratives. I love what you have just said because you have made our audience to understand that you can always harvest the good from any situation, no matter how bad it is, no matter how chaotic it is. If you reframe your mind, if you decide to change the narratives and look at it from a positive perspective than from a negative perspective, then you can stay focused and learn the lesson and also harvest the good from the situation. Thank you so much for raising that important point. Before we go ahead, I would like to ask you the second question. At this moment, just after the George Floyd riots, as an African American, what were your feeling? How are you feeling at this time? And what is it you can say as your contribution to what is happening with this issue of systemic racism, which is now very, very open and clear? Everybody seems to be seeing it now. We have always been saying it, and people have not been seeing it. But right now, it's like a buzzword. So, what can you say as an African American?
Well, I can say that I'm reflective and I'm actually reserved. And I'll say that why, because like you already stated, is that we've been looking at and dealing with institutionalized racism. I've taught it in school. I've taught Jim Crow. I've taught the narrative, following Reconstruction. I taught, African American and Negro slavery. And so my perspective and my context for conversating about it is very different than others. And I'm reflective right now because I'm watching, not sitting idly, I'm watching and I'm observing how people are, like I said, powering through or processing. And so I'm a little bit reserved. Why? Because people are taking this moment and there's knee jerk reactions.
Oh,
Whether
wow.
you are
I
white,
like
whether you're black, whether you're Puerto
that.
Rican, whether you're Haitian, whether you're African, people are reacting and they're triggered and they're not responding. They're reacting, not responding. And a response takes you a moment to sit in it, to process, and say, now, what is my value add to the conversation and to the narrative? And so for me, it's very personal. Why? I'm a mother of African American, of a black male. And I've spoken out a lot about it, that there's been many opportunities and times when I was so concerned about my child being out there. And one thing that he and I say, and we say it in jest, but I'm not playing, if you get this point. I say it in jest, but I am not playing. Is that I said, help me help you. Help me save the world. When you leave the house, please take these precautions. When you go to these places, do this. Because if someone hurts you, I am blowing up everything. Everybody got to die. Everybody got to die. So because of that, okay.
I know you for that.
So do you see that? Because I told him that that's my snapping point. So when you ask about how I'm feeling, I'm a bundle of emotions and it depends on what day it is. Some days, early days, I was very triggered because it was the energy that was being released, because energy can't be made or destroyed. And the energy that was released in the atmosphere, if you don't ground yourself in your personal knowing, mm-hmm, you'll be taking on other spirits and energies and depressions and anger and frustration. And so in the early days, because I was a resource, I became a receptacle for a lot of those things before I realized, oh, wait a minute, I need to ground myself. So now, though, my value add has been providing context for conversation, because who I am at the core of it is a thought leader. Who I am is a teacher. I'm an educator to the very bone. So how can I help to educate those who want to have conversations and give them context and particularly talking to leaders who are deciding what should I do next and now from a helicopter view as opposed to a knee-jerk gut reaction. And so that's my value add. And so what I've done is that the first Tuesday of the month, but I'm revamping it. I've had racial literacy roundtables and said, here's a safe space for leaders to come and talk. And so we can talk about opportunities and solutions. And I'm in a revamping mode because I realize that there's another level to that, to application. And so I'm pleased to announce and to share that another seat at the table is actually going to be a program offering for diverse and inclusive conversations that not only talk about the Black experience and the narrative, but there's an intersectionality as a Black woman. So there's some intersectionality there too.
Thank you so much. Hey, Dr. Quinta, thank you for joining. Thank you, Mercy Fonto. Millie Sinzones is watching from the UK. Thank you, Millie, for joining us. And there's somebody who has made a comment, is like, that's the instinct of a mama bear.
Yes.
That
a grizzly. Let's get it straight. A grizzly bear. Not a brown bear, a grizzly. I will tear it apart.
I remember following one of your Facebook page. It was something to do about your son in the game. Some kind of issue was happening. And I saw you intervening fiercely. And I was just like, oh, that's my roomie.
I'm telling you, there's no chill when it comes to my child. There's no chill. If you want to see me from 0 to 360, if you want me to untie, pull off some earrings, and cut you with some pearls on, play with my child. Okay, literally. And I'm telling you, it's a whole nother situation. And so with everything, like I said, happening, when I look at him, there's some days that I just cried. I cried because I'm still mourning Emmett Till. I cried because I was mourning over 400 years of oppressive actions that has become so embedded and ingrained and deeply rooted in the very institution that I spent over 20 years in, which is education. So people say, where do we start? Education. Education, one of the greatest institutions that we have and the most profoundly racist institutions that we promote.
So as an educator and as somebody who has been in this field for quite some time, are there incidences that you were actually kind of profiled or looked low upon?
Because which one do you want? Okay, so so not only from a perspective of being a student and being a student who was in academically enriched programs, it was always, you're not like one of those. I am 29 plus tax and gratuity. However, in my extended years, there was a thing called busing, especially here in the United States and California, and I was bused out of my neighborhood to actually integrate the other schools to do that. And so I was selected to integrate because I was smart. And I heard the term constantly, you're not like them. I didn't process what the like them meant at that age because it started when I was in second grade, okay? So we talk about the power of the mindset and the tape and the narratives we hear. But I kept remember hearing that, and that has also shaped some of my own biases that I have to constantly confront because of that old part of my tape. So from that part to actually working in education and working in and with DoDEA, going through the narratives and the spaces where, again, I went from the classroom to school administration. So being a school principal, that was partly some of the most challenging, most soul-breaking, mindset shifting work I did. And when I had to make decisions, I had to weigh it against being called or being said that I made it because I was Black or I made it because I wasn't Black. So I got it from all different areas, but also my input was discounted often because of who I was. So not only was I a Black female, I was one of the youngest Black females. Even when I won a 2012 Blue Ribbon Principal Award for Academic Excellence, which should have been celebrated because it hadn't been done, in our region, and that's in that area. Yet it was still downplayed as if. So I've had a lot of those experiences, but I got a mama named Ruby Louise. And my mom said, in every obstacle, there's an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? And the minute you say things like, they made me feel, you gave away your power. So she said, you keep your power. And what I learned is that even though sometimes we slip, if I give my power away, I also own the power to take it back. And that's what I've done. I've had a lifetime of ebb and flowing, of feeling in moments and circumstances and situations when I felt that I didn't have control. But then I could hear that's the power of your tape. Okay, and that mindset and that amygdala that's there is that, but you still own your power. And so when we're we're talking about your voice, my voice, your voice, okay, authenticity, deep down, that quiet voice that sometimes pushes you and prods you and sometimes tears you down is the same voice that you can nourish to build you up. And so that's what I've been able to do. So even in those moments, being in a school system, being overseas, I lived overseas for 16 years in Germany and South Korea as a beautiful chocolate, intelligent woman. And I remember one particular moment, this was fun, is that this part is real interesting. I worked around the military, and so at that time I had a PhD. I've had a PhD. Again, I'm remember y'all, I'm 29, but I've had a PhD for well over 12 years. And I remember we were at a leadership roundtable for all senior leaders on the installation. And as the school administrator, I had to speak to whatever was going on. And when we go to those meetings, again, I'm the only beautiful chocolate dot, not very many women, and not very many women in senior leadership. And I remember we'd go around the table and people would speak. And so the majority, even the commander on the base would say, Dr. Brown, so and so. But there was this one chief of staff. We're in this meeting now for a good 45 minutes or so. Everybody and their mama and their cousin Betty addresses me as Dr. Brown. But this young man, and I use that liberally, it gets to me, and he was insistent on calling me Miss Brown. So as I stood up and as he introduced me to speak, I said, well, I corrected him on the spot. I did a spot check. Usually I kind of hold it, but I did a spot check. He had the hardest time acknowledging my level of success that was there. And he would do it repeatedly. And it got to the point that I had to check him in that moment. And I said, let me go ahead and correct you. I said, at the time, my ex-husband was, Mr. Brown. I said, Mr. Brown's at home and Dr. Brown is in the room. and, and then I went on to speak. So these occurrences, I've been dealing with them for a lifetime, to get back to your question and to your point. It's nothing new. I've faced it as a young girl going through school. I faced it as a young girl in college. I faced it in a career choice. I faced it all along the way, but I'm still here. I'm still here.
Love that. I love that. You're still here, strong and beautiful as ever. So I want to acknowledge you have Hoblin, Dr. Hoblin on the line. She too is watching from Jamaica. Maggie Jane is here. She's watching. She says, thank you, Renee, for your platform. And thank you for sharing Dr. Deena with us. Oh, I love to share my friends with all of you. I don't want to keep them for myself. Then Maggie is also thanking Francisca Epale because she knows that Francisca is one of the keen supporter of this platform. She's always here to follow all the episodes. Then Maggie says, the guy who called you Miss Brown just showed his insecurity with your success. And that is always the problem. So when I look at you for all the time that you have been here, I kind of ask myself, how could I have gone through this? Because for my short time that I've been here, I happen to have been one of the fortunate ones who went into corporate world immediately I came. And I have always have to prove myself. Sometimes I always have to regurgitate my credentials to tell them the number of masters I have, the certification I have, so they can listen to me. I always have to prove myself. When I say something, I remember when I came here, I was taking a master's in public administration in a university. And each time I was in a group and I contributed, the next question was, show us the document from which you're getting this. So one day too, just like you, I'm like, hell no. I said, I'm just in this class because I was made to understand that I need an American qualification to succeed here, which was a limiting belief, which was a lie. I said, I'm a master. I have an MBA from UK. So this is my second master's. So hold it there and listen when I talk. So you get profiled everywhere you go in this place. In the offices, when you say something, oh my gosh, they have to argue, turn around, 360 degrees, and then they come back to that point.
I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't mean to interject and cut you off, but I want to address this point, and it's so powerful that I didn't want to hold it to after. Is that something that you repeatedly keep saying is that I have to prove, I have to prove. And I want to tell you, no, you don't. You just own it. You got to prove it. It's your monkey, let you carry it. So when I walk into a space, I own that space. And if you want to go check, you can go research on your own because I'm going to stand here and own that position. I had to learn that because early on I kept feeling that, that angst, I think that you get in the very beginning and the irritation, and they were unbothered. So I decided, let's flip the script. Let's reframe this. If you want to know about my credentials, Google me. And that's Google me. So just tell people, Google me and keep moving. And the way I own the room and the energy I give in the room, and I was just sharing this on an interview I did the other day on the Good Life with Brad. I said, when I go in places, people automatically think I'm in charge. I don't have to say anything anymore because I learned that I own me. I 100% own my narrative. And so when I walk in it, the energy I give is that I got this. So I kid you not, I've gone to volunteer. I was working an awards show. I'd go in the room. Everybody's asking me directions, like I'm the director. So guess what I did? I started giving directions. Oh no, put that over there. And I was there. And so it's how you carry yourself. And so I'm unapologetically, authentically me. And I operate that way every day, 365, 24/7, and twice on Sundays. And once I got it in my mind, that's the power of your mindset. That's what people pick up. And if I'm wrong, you could correct me because we've met, you've experienced me in person, you've experienced me in different spaces. Is that not the same vibe that everywhere I walk into a room, I act like I own the room?
I know. That's just being you. You remember at the beginning of the show, I said, you are just being you. I laugh because there was a day I got so frustrated, and I have an African American too who is my colleague. He too is in senior management. So I walked into his office and I was like complaining, pouring out my frustration, and he just sat and was listening. He looked at me, and when I finished, you know what he told me? He said, Renee, welcome to America. That was all he said. Like, he just said, welcome to America. And I laughed. So I'm happy. I'm glad. And I think I did learn something. You claim the space where you are. We'll gradually get there. So before we continue, we have spoken a lot about that. So when people look at you, they see you sitting there smiling in a beautiful, cozy background. Everybody thinks Dr. Deena Brown was one of the lucky few who just went through life. She had a PhD when she was young. So can you tell us, your story so people can know that where you are coming from?
Yes. So to help you reframe it, and don't forget what I told y'all earlier, I tell people it took me 48 years to get this fabulous. Okay. It took me 48 years to get this fabulous. And I've had some moments where I did question, I did. And I shared this, and I share this because this is probably the one of the most powerful ways that you can help kind of reframe and understand your I am story. Is that 50% of knowing who you are is knowing who you're not. So you've got to get clear about who you are right now, today, in this moment. And once you're very clear about who you are, and that's part of the journey. It doesn't happen overnight sometimes. You then can be very confident in your I am. Because whatever follows I am, you call it to be, but you still not only have to think it, you got to believe it. And that comes with the clarity. And then from that, and I call this my C3 blueprint, I have clarity, I know who I am, and now I can confidently stand in the face of adversity. I can confidently stand in your naysaying. I can confidently stand in things and opportunities that didn't go my way. And then the third C is consistency. So now I can consistently show up in my I am. That took time to process, but it's very powerful about that concept of knowing who you are. And on my journey, I've been able to pull back the layers of my onion to get to the core of my I am. And part of that was, being married, being divorced, being a single mom, being all of those different things. But what I held on to is that the journey was going to make me, not break me. And again, my mother's voice, and you'll hear my Ruby Louise-isms all the time, is that in each obstacle, there's an opportunity. Use those roadblocks as tools to strengthen you, okay, not to flatten you. And so when things didn't go my way, when I was harassed by my supervisor, when my name and my credibility was attempted to be destroyed, by my former institution that I worked with and worked for, when they tried to discredit my name, God whispered to me, he said, do you know who you are? And it's because of who you are and whose you are that you will continue to stand. So trust. And I told you to leave this situation a long time ago, but you stayed in it because you thought it was going to be your ticket. You thought, but you weren't residing and listening to the knowing that I've given you. And so on the journey, I had some really tough situations. Why? Because I was in my own way. And it's that whole concept of how I began to look at things and say, here's how I need to reframe this, is that where's the lesson? So now what I say to myself, okay, this didn't work out, that bombed, where's the lesson? There's a lesson in this. Okay, that person, tried to destroy my character, my background. Where's the lesson? Because in the lesson is the opportunity for me to level up. And so those are the things, like I tell people, I've hit to the rock bottom. I've been at rock bottom. But it was in that rock bottom that I am now so crystal clear as to who I am and who I'm called to be and how I'm called to serve. But that was part of the journey. That was part of it. And I think that everyone listening, if you're in a tough space and you're looking at someone else and saying, wow, look what they have, but do you know their journey? Do you know the journey? 10 times out of 10, you don't. So I don't have a story of being homeless, but I understand. And I did a talk before, and it's called 6 Figures to Sixth Sense. And so how do you shift from having lots of money and disposable income to nothing, but yet in that nothingness, you get an understanding about who you are? That's part of my narrative, part of my story. And so I can share that with people today. I can share that with women today about how to be inspired and empowered and begin to be intentional. That's why I created Futurecast, that we were talking about earlier, is that how do we then create our own individual pathway for growth? Not that we can control every step along the way, but can we get very clear about what we want and where we're growing to? And then as we navigate that pathway, that clarity is going to help us align ourselves to the opportunities, the relationships, and the individuals that are supposed to kind of connect with us. So it's not easy, but I can tell you it was so worth it. And I'm sitting here today. Is everything perfect? Absolutely not. Am I excited about what I'm still learning along the process? Absolutely. But it took me reframing my thinking, not to live in the situation, but to learn from the situation.
Great job.
I get passionate about that stuff.
I told you it wasn't by coincidence that you were the 10th person on this show. Hey, my friends who are watching, can you believe that this is already the 10th episode? So I am equally celebrating. I want to acknowledge Leslie, who has joined us, and Lama Michael. Oh, Mike, thank you. Welcome. You're watching from Cameroon. Thank you so much. Please, if you are watching, just let me know where you're watching from. Like and share the video and invite other people to come and listen to Dr. Deena Brown, because what she's saying is very relevant to our time today, and there is a lot we can learn from her. You just spoke about hitting rock bottom and taking it in, then getting up. That is the same thing my last guest, Sadika, said. Wow. She said everybody gets to rock bottom, but you have to lie in that space, take it in, understand why you are in that space, then you bounce back.
Actually, because all of your experience is like compost for your growth. Think about a plant. Think about when you're tilling the soil. And so everything, that you use, if you use the things that weren't so great, or we will call so great, if we look at it as compost for our growth and fertilizer, if you really want rich, fertile soil in plants, you've got to put fertilizer. And you know what fertilizer is, right? Okay, there you go.
So, I know you're really passionate about so many things, but I still like to ask you, what are you passionate about, and what led you to that?
I'm passionate about women owning their narrative. Really owning their narrative and shifting the way they think about themselves as a wife, as a mother, as a sister, as a friend, and begin to really own their narrative and to change the order of that, to think about myself, think about me, then as a wife, putting themselves first, unapologetically. And I'll tell you why, is that when you actually fuel yourself and give yourself what you need, you now truly actually have something to serve. And too often as women, we've been serving what's in our own cup, because what's inside the cup is what's for us to nourish. And then the overflow is when we're getting the oil, it's the overflow is what we're supposed to serve from. But yet we've been saying, oh, here you go. And then at the bottom, there's like little nuggets at the bottom. We're trying to nourish our bodies off of that. And then we're wondering why we're tired, we're resentful, we're frustrated, all of those feelings and emotions, because we are hungry. We're hungry. We didn't eat. You didn't eat. And so because we're not serving and feeding and fueling ourselves, we're going out there and we're depleting everything and we're burning ourselves out. And so I'm very passionate about helping women begin to, I call it, make self-care sexy. and to learning to love themselves first. And now when I can give with a grateful heart. I can actually make sure that whatever I'm doing, whatever I say yes to, is a real yes. It's not, I don't really want to, but I'm going to do it because I feel I need to. No, I can say yes. Why? Because I'm full. I'm good. I got something to serve you because I'm full. I'm not hungry anymore. And so really providing a framework and an opportunity for women to help them navigate that space. And one of the things in navigating that space is not necessarily outside forces, it's what we say to ourselves.
Yes, you are very
What do
right.
we say? What is our self talk?
Mm-hmm.
How are we shutting up that inner bully? How are we speaking to what I call that heifer? Because the heifer is you.
Yeah.
You the heifer. How do we begin to
Oh
have
my God.
rich conversations with ourselves so that when whatever you're saying to yourself first is going to either resonate, whenever someone else is saying something or you're speaking out. And I'll just, if you don't mind, I want to share this quick story. And I've been sharing this part because I realized that it was when I began to share this part is when people started to really get a sense of who I am. And so to really bring it to a quick and dirty is that I remember having a conversation with my ex-husband at the ends of our relationship. And he sat there and I kept saying, God, is it me? I don't want it to be about me. And so he sat there, and during that conversation, he said some really horrible things. And I just remembered sitting there and just sinking in my chair. I just remember sitting there, just taking it all in. And I don't want to get caught up with him speaking. I want to share with you that what he was saying are things that I had said to myself. That's why it resonated with my spirit, because I had been saying that to myself. Because I told you 50% of knowing who you are is knowing who you're not. And so when the time and opportunity presented himself, he said something to me that was something that I knew. Because what's inside of you, if I shook this cup and there was something in it, there's coffee in this other cup, but I ain't gonna shake it because I don't want to spill coffee. But if I shook that, like life and times like right now, it's hard and we're rough. If I shake it, what's inside is gonna come out, and that's coffee. So what's inside of you when life is hard and tough and you're battling is what's deep inside of you. That's why you have to get clear about that. That's why you have to know who you are. So one thing that he said to me, and again, he was saying all kinds of stuff, and I was just like, oh my gosh, And then he said this. He said, you are the stupidest woman I've ever met. Ding, 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 ding. I woke up. Because I'm going to tell you something. One thing I knew, I ain't stupid. I'm the smartest chick I know. And so it was knowing that part of my I am that allowed me to take it up. Because I said then, if that's a lie, what else is a lie? See, we always need those anchors in our life. Where's your anchor? I'm asking all of you listening. What is your anchor? What is your knowing? That beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know this about you. If someone came and said this about you, you know for a fact it is not true, because that becomes your anchor when times get hard. That becomes your anchor when you're struggling. That becomes that voice that overshadows the voice. And we talk about that inner voice, and you'll hear me talk about Heffa, you'll hear me talk about the inner critic, but the same way when you talk about that mama bear feeling, and that at that point I become Superwoman, She-Ra, Mighty Isis, Wonder Woman, everybody combined with a dash of Incredible Hulk, if somebody messes with my child, because love is the only thing to break that cycle in your mind. So fall in love with you. Fall in love with yourself. So when you're in the midst, when you're struggling, when people are saying things, when you're facing hard times, when you're being hard on yourself, go back and just give yourself a little grace and gratitude and love, and you'll see your narrative shift. You'll see your narrative change. And so when you talk about what I'm so passionate about, that's why I'm so passionate, because I've been there. I've been there. I've been not just in the rock bottom space and losing everything and building from scratch, starting all over again. I've been there. I've been there where I there was nothing that I could even think that I thought was good about me. I've been there. But guess what? I'm here now. It took me 48 years to get this fabulous.
I just have goosebumps on my body. It took you 48 years to get to this. And so what we are telling our guests is it doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a week. It's a period of consistency. And like my friend Dr. Deena Brown is saying, the first thing you have to do to change yourself is to know yourself. That's the law of self-awareness.
Yes.
You have to know who you are to be able to change yourself to what you want to be. And most often when she talks about the cup, that is the sweetest analogy I have ever heard about how we value ourselves. And you are very right. When people say things that hurt you and resonate with you, it is because they are the things that you say to yourself. If you tell yourself you are dumb and stupid, then when somebody tells you that you are dumb and stupid, what happens? The gremlin inside you just confirms. Say, I told you. Now you hear it from a second person. And then if you don't catch yourself at that moment, you are likely to pull back and sink deeper into your rock bottom. Maybe you threaten to break the boat, to bust the boat, to go further, because that is not as far as you can go. That is one of the reasons why I started this platform of My Voice, Your Voice. Because I believe that my voice, Dr. Deena's voice, can be your voice. You may not have the opportunity to sit here and talk, but listening to us will put on a light bulb, will give you an aha moment that you are able to say, oh my gosh, that is where I am. Or that is where I was. Mm-hmm. You have to learn the lesson. You have to be able to fill your own cup. Because Dr. Deena Brown, we are all Africans. But back home in Africa, we grew up with the mentality that a woman is supposed to always be the last to eat. You have to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Like me, most often, if somebody is sick in my house, the next day you are going to the hospital. I'm doing everything for you to get medical care. But when I'm sick, I do everything to stay strong, self-medicate. And unless I start feeling like I'm going to die, that's when I go to the hospital. So at a certain point in time, I ask myself, there is a common parlance in Cameroon, which we say, feed the body, take care of the body that works the money. If you are not in good health, you cannot help another person. But we grew up feeling like that was selfish. When you talk about yourself, it's about me. I have to take care of myself, make myself comfortable. Most often than not only in Africa, everywhere, you're being looked upon as being selfish. But thanks to the fact that you and I, we are in this movement of personal development, that we now know. One of my mentors, Lisa Nicole, that's somebody I admire very much, says, you have to tell people how you want to be loved.
That's right.
You have to show people how you want to be treated. One of my speakers on this show said, you have to be able to claim your queendom.
Yes.
Because you are the queen that you were made to be. You already answered my question, because my follow-up question was like, your passion, does it have anything to do with your own personal story? But you already related it to your personal story. So most often people make a shift. I see behind you, I see a shift factor. And you are one of those people who constantly talks about making a shift. And I know that there are different experiences that push people to make a shift.
Right.
It is either you are in pain, gain, or growth.
Right.
That fuel your passion to make a shift. So in your case, what made you to make this shift? And now you talk about shift factor, and you are talking about the Lead Her Shift movement. Because it's all about the shift.
It's all about the shift, baby. It's all about the shift. And the shift factor, again, is one of my signature proprietary programs on how to make the shift. The what is the C3 blueprint: clarity, confidence, and consistency. And the how is the shift factor. And how did I get to that point? I would say it's all three. To do that, there wasn't just one.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's, like I said, an intersection of our lives. And when we try to parcel the pieces out too much is where the confusion lies. And we realize that we're one whole being. And I like to bring my whole being to whatever opportunity or situation. That's, again, that comes when I process things as opposed to when I power through. When I sit in it to respond instead of to initially react. And so in my response, it's a culmination of all three. I have to understand that it was those things. And it's through the pain that impacted my profitability, which led to the next. You see, so that's what I mean. It's the pain, because we used to have a saying as school principals. And for those of you who have school-age children and you've had this time to spend home with them, maybe you get a tad bit about what we were talking about when you said, "Oh, not Johnny." Yeah, Johnny. Yep, and Keisha too, and Mary. Yep, they all did it. So now you get to see your children maybe through some of the lens that we used to at school. But anyway, I don't want to digress to that point. But one thing that we used to say, and one part of our training was at our principal academies, was that where there's smoke, there's fire. So if you continue, even if the fire maybe still be at a spark, where there's smoke, there's fire. And so you've got to pay attention to the small things, the small whispers, before they become gargantuan screams. And so in my life, that's why I say they all kind of go together. It was like when we looking at the pain, it was triggering and it was instrumental on how I was showing up at work or in business. So there's a connectivity to that, to do that. And so there comes a time, though, when you realize that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, number one. And I use this quick analogy. I love to speak in metaphors, especially I love a great extended metaphor, is that I love sports. I love basketball. Thank you. The bubble's kind of gone. We've got some basketball right now. But if you look about, and I've played sports, when you are running a play, and in basketball, there's an opportunity for you to set, you stop and you have to pivot. You have to anchor yourself because you'll travel if you step, you sit there, you anchor, and you have to pivot. That pivot is you looking around at everybody else. That pivot is who's gonna take the shot before you shift and take the shot yourself. So sometimes we get stuck in the pivot because we're scared about, well, I didn't get open, or so-and-so's going to get open, or what if I miss? And you're dealing with all this head game, this head space that you may have. And so for me, it was that a while I was stuck in that pivot of looking around. And when we're looking around, we actually are blaming other people. We're not looking inside of ourselves. We're looking externally. So it came that point after assessing that this is what's happening inside of me. This is kind of what's coming up externally. And then my next move is dependent on, my survival is dependent on my child. See, I told you, your child will make you do some things. And when I couldn't do it for me, I can do it for him. And so for me, Xavier is my bigger why to cause me to shift and take the shot. Because whenever you take that shot, whether you miss or not, you have to still own it. You own it if you make it and get the 2 baskets. You own it if you miss it. But it's still you making a conscious decision to say, I got this, and that I have control. And in a pivot, when you're looking around for somebody else, you're still looking for some outside force to save you. And for me, I had to get to the point to shift and take the shot and say, it's on me. And if I miss it, go in for the rebound and shoot it again. If I miss it, go try it again. Go try it again.
Doesn't matter how many times you miss
it. Doesn't matter how many times. And it's almost becoming childlike again.
Go try again.
Yeah. Try again. But think about this. Again, like I said, I used to coach my son's teams. And when kids are 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and if you ever see youth sports, they get the ball and they run and they just take the shot. They don't care if it's across the court. They don't even care. They just throw it up there. But over time, we become conditioned and we begin to program to not take the shot. Because like you said, we need to pass it. If we take it, we're selfish. If we don't let someone else have the opportunity, then we are a ball hog, or that we're you see what I mean? That programming starts early on, and you'll begin to see that for some of us, we kind of own that space and we stopped taking our own shots because we were looking to pass the ball all the time for that tape that's been written for us. And so we have to kind of pull back and say, let me go back. And we have to stop judging other people. I can't say that to not say this portion. And if this is you, fix it, stop it. I had to. When we see other people always taking the shot, who she thinks she is, who they think they is, they always out for themselves. Well, why are you mad? You could be out for you too. How about that? we will judge people who are out for themselves, who take the shot. So that's why I said what we think about ourselves, what we're saying to ourselves, what we're speaking to ourselves, actually starts on the inside, because then that's what we replicate on the outside, and that's what we serve people. So begin to learn to serve the greatest version of yourself by getting clear so you can be confident and you can stay consistent and make the shifts you need to live the life you desire.
Thank you so much. So again, if you are just joining now, we are glad you are watching. We want to acknowledge Olive, who is watching. We want to also acknowledge Jonas Gadsden is watching. Mark, thank you for watching. We, again, this is My Voice, Your Voice, a platform for authentic conversation. You can all agree with me that Dr. Deena Brown is just simply being authentic and just telling us her truth. She's not leaving anything behind. So Dr. Brown and myself, we are all executive coaches, leadership trainers with the John Maxwell team. We do own our own private businesses that we do. So if you want to get in contact with Dr. Deena Brown, leave a message here, or you can get in contact with her on her Facebook page. Get in contact with her on her Facebook page. She has her website, drdeenabrown.com. You can always get to her. And I don't want us to go without me talking about a program which is very educative that Dr. Deena Brown is running now. She has a program which she just set up. It's called Future Her Cast, where she's interviewed women too who are like us, who are sharing their story and trying to see how they can pivot from where they were to where they want to be. And that is going to help. So I'll just let her talk about it for some time, so that if you want to join, it's still open. We will put the link after we finish the show. Dr. Deena Brown is going to put the link on the comments. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out.
Yes, I am so excited to share with you Futurecast. And Futurecast, like and Renee and Nita said, is that it's really about us as women beginning to actually share who we are as women. But how has my success, how have my hacks, what can I share with you about my story that can help you with your story? And more importantly, how can we help you dare to dream bigger? And not only dare to dream, learn how to mitigate those risks we talked about, but also create a strategy for yourself, for you to really live the life that you desire, to live by design and not default. And so right now, Futurecast, you can register for free. Futurecast goes all the way to August 8th. You can register. We'll put the links in, but you can go to bit.ly, capital FUTUREHERCAST 2020, and you can register and you can see up to 6 talks for free. There's approximately 30 talks, 30 interviews, almost 30 hours of content that's there. And I'll tell you, they are so powerful. They are so, so, so powerful. And I truly encourage you, whether you join Futurecast or not, to sit down right now today and ask yourself, who are you? Number one, what is your big, bold dream? What is your big, bold dream? And I'm asking you to ask yourself this in private and ask yourself this quietly, and then sit quiet and listen. And then ask yourself from, who are you? What is your dream? And my bonus question that I love to ask, which will get you thinking, where is the lie in your life that is preventing you from living your dream? Where is the lie in your life that's preventing you from living your dream? You can have
That's
it
so
all,
huge. Can
but you
somebody
have to
type
find
that
it.
on the comment box?
Yeah.
Can somebody type that on the where is your lie?
Where's the
That
lie in your life that is preventing you from living your dream? And I will be honest with you, because this is the journey. You talk about my journey, my truth, my story, is that I was the liar. I was the liar. I was the one that was in my own way. That's why you need to go ahead and jump in and grab future cast, and we'll make sure that we'll put it in the comments as well. And like I said, it's so powerful, the talks that are there and the feedback. We're only on day 2. This is 8 days. August is the 8th month. We know the beautiful number and numerology, what 8 represents, and that sense of dreaming and fertility and wealth and prosperity. There are some amazing things happening in your right now, but it's your choice to take it and do something with it. Yours, not mine. And future
thank you
cast
so
helps.
much.
Yeah.
August is my birth month. My birthday is coming on the 10th of August. So I decided to do a gratitude month. Every day I post on Facebook one thing that I'm grateful for. So August, it's my birth month, and I'm happy that you are here sharing this and doing this in August. So I am so happy that you are here. And one last question I would like to ask you is, what is the most selfless thing that you have ever witnessed somebody do?
When I think about that question, um, I don't, nothing jumps to mind of what is I see people doing selfless things every day, all the time. A smile is selfless. I see people, you know, helping a person that is challenged in the grocery store carry bags. I see people offering their time and just to be lend an ear to someone. There isn't just one. And so I will reframe that and say the most selfless thing that we all can do is, number one, is to smile, to be present with those people that we love and we care about, and extend grace to those people that frustrate us. And if you're doing that, with it first giving grace to yourself, smiling at yourself, loving on yourself, then you will find it very easy to do, because it would be a habit for you to give to others. And so, like I said, I see selfless things all the time, and I'm more interested on how I can be even more. And so the best thing I can do is to be conscious of who I am today and how I'm projecting and how I'm leading for tomorrow.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. We can stay here. You wouldn't want to believe that it's almost the top of the hour.
I know. Thank
The
you. It was
time
so
has
quick.
gone so fast. We have so much to talk about. You have been, Dr. Quinta Mancho says, thank you, Renee and Dr. Deena, for great content. So this is really something that we can talk about for the next 3, 4 hours, because it's something that we are just so passionate about. And they said birds of a feather flock together. That's why I get the kinds of friends that I get, because we are all passionate about one and the same thing. And all we want to do is to help women to be able to step out of their comfort zone, be able to tap into their brilliance and claim the power that they have. Because I always say women have a lot of power which we don't use. If all the women were one woman, it will be a force that nobody can reckon with. So I saw the challenge about supporting women. I saw the challenge about being a woman supporter, and I was like, star proud advocate of women. So if we all become supporters of women, we all become advocates of women, we all share our story as they are, so that our friends can learn and also appreciate the fact that it is not because I was talking to one of my friends and she said, when people see me when they see me, I'm a medical doctor, I'm this, they're like, she got all the grades. Say, no, I went to 5 primary schools. So people need to know that about us because Dr. Deena, what people see now is just a success. It's just seeing you and me being able to say Facebook Live. They don't know what is under the sea. You see just the tip of the iceberg, but the whole thing is covered under the sea. So we are kind of like trying to let them know that life will never be fair on your terms because it has never been fair. But you can be fair to yourself and navigate it. There is one thing which Sadika said last time. She talked about a quote which says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because there will always be pain in our life.
Yep.
But it is your choice if you want to suffer because of that pain. So we are women who have decided to ignore the pain, like Dr. Deena Brown would say. She doesn't react. She takes time to process her pain and she responds. So if we are stuck reacting, we will never move on. So join Dr. Brown and myself to do the shifts because we have done the shift. So my friend, one last word to the people watching.
Go catch Futurecast. It's happening now. You can catch Futurecast all the way up until August 8th, and everything that you just spoke to about how to make those shifts and leaning in and listening to other stories of women speak to their truth, it's there. It's there. So if you enjoyed this conversation, and I'm telling you, the conversations I had with these women are extraordinary. I'm blessed every time I go back and listen to them. Then definitely go back and today go ahead and register for Futurecast. You can catch, tomorrow's, unless you get an all access pass, you can catch episodes free. We're going strong all next week. And so that's my value add. And that's probably the best gift that I can give you is Futurecast 2020, which really encourages you to dare to dream.
Thank you so much for appearing on this platform, and thank you for all your wisdom shared on this platform. And I hope to bring you back again. This is just the beginning. We have years ahead of us. We may want to catch up again and then to talk about where we were on the 10th episode and maybe where we will be on the 20th episode. So you again, I'm so happy that we had this conversation. And I think that the people who have followed this show, I can see from the comments, they too are very grateful and they keep like great content. And sometimes it's not about who is watching live, because after this we do I normally do a watch party, other people share. So one of my friends told me something that I'm so aware of now. She's like, there are people who are watching you that you don't know that they are watching you.
That's true.
Yes. So we are also telling those people that we know they are there, even if we don't know them by name, we know that they are there. And we are hoping that this will help change their life. Thank you so much, Dr. Deena Brown. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll catch up. Of
Absolutely.
course, we have to catch up. This is, I have to join the staycation.
Yes, absolutely. We'll definitely get together soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. This has been great.
Thank you so much, Francisca. Thank you, Quinta. Thank you to all those who have been watching. Please, thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Michael. Please share on your page, organize a watch party, encourage people to watch. You know what you have listened to. Thank you, Dr. Hoblin Brown. Thank you very much. And do stay tuned for the next episode next week. Again, it has been Renee Anita, your host, and you are on the program, My Voice, Your Voice, the platform for authentic conversation. Bye. We love you so much. Bye, Dr.
Bye
Deena
bye.
Brown.